into StreamYard because
Mm.
when I have a next gen merchants tab, and when I use that tab, it tells me, which I've used it before many times, but it
Yeah.
tells me that I need to go into my browser somehow and click. Oh, maybe it's up there. Always accept the camera and whatnot. Let me see if that's what that
Oh,
is.
so you don't have to do it every time. Is that what you mean?
I think so.
Yeah. To give permissions, it's basically you're setting it to a different type of permission.
Huh.
All
Interesting.
right.
Anyway,
So yeah, the people are just the cognitive dissonance is just so ridiculous.
All right, I'm here.
No, Audrey, keep
Yeah.
going. You were going on about
tell me about the
the
cognitive dissonance. I wasn't part of the conversation. I want to know about it.
they say that they're inclusive, but it just becomes harder and harder to be around them.
Yeah, it's like my daughter and my son and my grandkids, and it's like they are the most, my son and daughter-in-law have this sign that says hate has no uh doesn't live here. And I'm like, but yet I can't I can't go there because I don't feel welcome because of my views, you know? Yet they're
So,
they're open to everything, but they don't listen to everybody because, oh my goodness, you have a different view, right? They can't be
sing it,
friends.
sister. Sing it.
They can't be friends but not disagree,
Oh no,
you
you're
know?
my friend if you agree with me and you
Oh,
agree with everything that I say.
but yet I am the most inclusive person in the planet. And I'm like, no, you're not at
The,
all.
their planet.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing is like we're Paul and I were just talking about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to be honest, right now, this is how this whole thing got started was because health issues, right? And where we get stuck right now is, yes, we may have the psychological one, which is like the food and where is this Maslow's here? Let's see. Um, So it's the psychological, right? Which is food and sleep. The basic breathing, food, water, sleep, homeostasis, excretions, whatever. That's the psychological ones. Then there's the safety. You have a house and you have money. Okay, great. But where we get stuck a lot of times is this love and belonging. I feel in this society, and this is where my rant started about, the most inclusive, oh, I'm inclusive. Yeah, whatever. Only when it's conditional.
It's yes, it is conditional inclusivity.
Right. It's
I
because,
can be
well,
included. I
boundaries,
call her they them
right?
or
My boundaries, right? You've crossed a boundary. So now you've hurt my feelings.
but
And so
they
now,
get
yeah,
to,
I
they
don't
get
love
to
and
have the
belong.
boundaries, but we don't.
Yeah.
Yep,
We have
hang
to
on.
be boundary free.
You have to start again. When you talk over, it takes about 2 or 3 seconds for the audio to catch back up. So you have to start over, Audrey Lynn.
My point was is that they get to have boundaries and they get to vocalize those boundaries and they get to be the injured child. But we as the adults, we don't get to have boundaries. I'm going to say about 4 years ago now, it's gone by really fast. My son came to me and said, if you want a relationship with me, you have to watch this video. And do what the video says. So I watched the video, and I'm generally speaking, I don't swear. Um, Through that video, it was like, fuck you, screw you, how dare you, just all that. Mm. Because what it was telling me is that if I wanted to have a relationship with my adult child, not my adult, the adult who came through me, my child, person who's still stuck at 12, um, I would have to review his whole and entire life. And anywhere and everywhere that I could have, did, or possibly saw that he was going to be hurt, and I didn't do anything about it, I had to seek his forgiveness. Not only seek his forgiveness, but if he felt that my apology wasn't sincere enough, he didn't have to accept it. And then I had to go and work on my own stuff, come back to him with a more contrite heart for him to forgive me. And it was like, yeah, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. I didn't talk to him for 7 months, really sporadic. And then I invited him over for my birthday in November. And he was like, why didn't you do this thing? And I said, Jesse, for the 4 years that I went to Burnaby to visit you, once a year, every time something would come up, I would cry, I would emote, I would seek your forgiveness from a very profound and deep place. I've done that work. Why do I have to do it again? Oh, I don't remember that. That's not my problem. I've done the work. If you're hurt, I am, and I've said this to my children before. They say, oh, well, I'm so sorry for how you feel. No. Don't you feel sorry for me. That's my job. That's my work. If you want to do something for me, feel courage for me, feel compassion for me, feel, send those loving thoughts to me, but don't feel sorry for me. But as for doing the work, no, I have to do the work, and they get to be the wounded child. Oh, well, sucks to be you.
Watch your own video and take your own advice.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
It works both ways. Well,
maybe if they play the video backwards, they will hear evil spirits telling them something, like they used to say about music in the 80s and 70s and stuff.
Well, that's exactly the same with my daughter. Like, I mean, it's oh, you went to Mexico and you hurt me and you didn't tell me and you didn't, whatever it was. And then, to uninvite me to her wedding, and to and I don't even know what I did.
You didn't do anything.
Because I've asked. I'm like, what did I do? And she's like, well, you know what you did. And I'm like, could have been a number of things. It's like,
and I am not responsible for your feelings.
No.
If you feel, oh, you hurt me, really? Where's the injury? Where's the wound?
Yeah.
Because I don't see anything broken, bleeding, or burning.
Yeah. And all the times I sent you to
money?
Paris. I sent you to Paris. I sent you to Quebec. I paid for all your music lessons. I
you're
did
supposed to do that. That's a parent's job. It's your job.
It's like changing a diaper. Come on.
I could have done nothing, man. I could have left you just, oh, Mom, I want to go to Paris. Go ask your dad.
Here, little
just
one.
Be like,
change your own diety. I don't do that. Ew.
Yeah. Just be like, mama bears, they are the most protective creature out there, but they also kick their young out at 1 year.
Well, you've probably seen those videos of the bears climbing up the ice wall, and mama's struggling, but she gets there to the top, and then she looks over the edge, and the little one is going up and going down, and going up and going down, and going up, and finally makes it to the top and is struggling. Does mama bear help it? No. When it gets to the top, she goes whack and carries on. Like, you took too long, damn it.
Yeah. Well, the eagles, what do the eagles do?
Eat their young.
Well, they feed the stronger one, and they don't feed the other one dies, and then the other little one eats the other little one, and they leave it, and then they kick them out and go, are you going to make it, or are you going to hit the ground?
We saw a video probably a couple months ago now, and it was about the animal world and how they deal with their babies. And is it the emperor penguin?
No, it's the albatross.
Albatross. I keep on getting those confused.
Yeah.
Anyway, the albatross has this rather small nest and it has one egg. And God forbid that the chick fall off the nest while mom and dad are gone. Because when mom and dad come back, they can't see that the chick is off the nest. The chick can be 3/4 of the way back onto the nest and the parent can't see it until the chick is nestled safely underneath parent. And then it's like, oh, there you are. Huh.
Yeah.
They don't even recognize they're young
No.
when it's like struggling to get back into the nest because that's such a stormy area.
Mm.
They build their nests on a column. So there's like a tower and then the nest. So the young, if it gets out during a storm and it's on the mud and it's flapping around, it looks like it's in a freaking oil spill. And it just the mother comes back and just sits on the nest and looks at it like, what are you doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even recognize it as its own young unless it's back in the fucking nest.
But I find that's the problem now is we've coddled our kids
Yes.
too much. And this generation is coddling the kids even more, that we've disabled them. They have no sense of common sense, no sense of how to figure out problems, no sense of how to communicate with anybody, no sense of haha, no humor, right?
They use this. This is how they
That's
function.
their communication device. That's the communication device.
The interface. My daughter's 28 and she's just learning how to sew. I used to sew all the time when they were short. Could I get them to pay attention and participate? No. And then when I left, it was it's all critical. But it would have been a normal time that she would have been open or more open to those skills. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Shit happens. But now she's like, ooh, sewing is so great. And I can do this and I can do that. And I bite my tongue and go, oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Or she talks about her short list of health conditions. This is like yesterday. We were at Copper Creek yesterday, and I had a really hard time staying focused to the work because the table next to us, there were these two women in their mid to late 60s talking about all their health problems. And I'm going, I know how to deal with that. I know how to deal with that. I know how to deal with that. Focus.
Right.
And then no self-responsibility whatsoever. None whatsoever. So if the old people can't get it, how are the young people going to get it?
Yeah. We've been so programmed to look.
And the models that the kids have been diminished, suppressed, gaslit, fill in the blank.
Yep.
They are quite stupid.
Very. So anyway, that was my rant, because we get stuck in the love and belonging because we can't nowadays. We can't. It's just how can we be loved when it's all conditional? And how can we belong? And where can we belong? Like, I mean, it's so cool that we found this community.
No,
right?
We built it. We built it.
Yes. Yes. Well, and we're specifically looking for certain kinds of thinking, certain kinds of emotions, certain kinds of, right? We're looking for that. Everybody's looking for it, but nobody's knowing what exactly to look for. So that's where I see that we get stuck in that hierarchy.
I agree with you in that people don't know what they're looking for because, again, if you go back to what they're programmed with, that's what who they are is what they're programmed with, and they can't see outside of that box. I mean, I think they have a sense that something's not quite right, but they don't know what it is. And when someone like you shows up and presents possibilities and options and a different way of thinking and being, it's demonized because that's so weird. What? You're not
And a
playing
lot,
victim?
and a lot of them say, "Oh, that's old fashioned," and as my daughter-in-law would say, "Oh, that's just the old white men syndrome."
Yeah. Yes. Yes. My daughter has said that to me too. And I ask her, what does the color of his skin or his sex have to do with anything?
Right.
Why do you have to use that as an identifier? Because Black people do it all the time too. I've worked in massage for a day or two and dealt with one or two people and have seen it all the time. So it has nothing to do with the color of your skin.
There was, and I can't remember exactly where it was that I heard this, but it was taxi driver, and talking about driving people around, and the question was asked of who are the nicest to drive around, and then who are the most racist to drive around. And they were like, and he wasn't white. He wasn't a white taxi driver. He was more Hispanic taxi driver. And he was saying that white women were the nicest to drive around because they were the politest. And he said Black men were the worst to drive around.
Interesting.
They were the rudest. They were the most racist. They were the most, yeah.
Especially if they were fresh from Africa.
So they were the most racist, right? So, yeah, well, here we go, and then the whites are the most racist that they, but I have the most ethnical backgrounded friends ever because I salsa dance. So they're from everywhere.
Nice.
But yet I'm racist.
I remember one time my daughter had invited me over for a New Year's Eve gathering with her and a couple of her friends. And the one young man, he told me that I was a racist, privileged white woman. It was like, I beg your pardon. I'm privileged? What does that mean? Oh, well, you get jobs and benefits easier than a person of color. And I says, oh, no, I do not. No, I do not. As a matter of fact, the color of my skin inhibits what I get. I went to the Alberta government years ago seeking assistance to get out of massage so I could do something else, get some education. I actually wanted to go into social work. Bullet missed. And I was told, I'm so sorry, we have nothing to help you with. And this was the second time that I had gone. And I looked at the white man, fat man across the desk from me. And I said, oh, my skin's the wrong color. Oh, no, is my skin the wrong color? And he, and I said, oh, I guess it is, and left. And I told this to this young man, and he's like, well, this same young man, Caucasian, was pissed off at his dad, who was paying his extended medical benefits because daddy wouldn't pay for transitioning.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, your body, your choice, you pay for it.
Exactly.
Oh, well, God put me in the wrong body. No, you made that choice, sunshine.
You came as this. It was your choice. So I guess this is a rant session, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
Your turn, Paul. Rant.
Keep going. No, my goodness. I lived next to a communist, violent communist in 2020.
Mm.
That was scary. There were days where I was just like, I am so glad they have no idea who I am or what I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is very interesting because when I look at the Maslow's that hierarchy pyramid,
Yeah.
like it's the psychological one, we're even missing a whole bunch of them in there. Like everybody's afraid breathing, put on a mask.
Yeah.
You know, water. Everybody's terrified of what the water is. You know,
Hmm.
what's in the water, what's in the food.
Mm,
People can't sleep worth a hoot,
yeah.
right?
Struggle.
Like even the most basic of needs right now are just stressful, right? Security of the body, like I mean, of employment, resources, morality. Well, morality's out the window.
Going? I
Family,
thought it was gone.
family. You know, like who you're estranged from your family. I'm estranged from my family. You know, I have about 3 or 4 friends that are estranged from their families,
Mhm.
right? Like health of the family, no, right? Most people rent nowadays. They don't have property,
Mm-mm. They
you
can't
know,
afford it.
they can't afford it,
Mom
right?
and dad have to both work at least 2 jobs.
Yeah. Oh, and then the love and belonging is supposed to happen, right? Friendships, family, intimacy. Pfft, who has time for any of that?
Not only the time, but the bandwidth.
Yes.
How can I have bandwidth if I'm stressed out about all that other stuff you were talking about?
Well, about breathing, about food, about water, about sleeping. You know, everybody's so
Yesterday,
damn
in,
sleep deprived.
yesterday again in Copper Creek, just as we were leaving, a young woman, I would say in her mid 20s ish, came in with another woman, and the young woman had a companion dog and a mask.
Mm,
And I
mhm.
watched her stand at the counter or sit at the counter, wait for her coffee or her beverage, got her beverage, did this, had a sip, and then put it back. And I laughed, and then I was like, it's okay, it's okay. That is her experience. Obviously, she's in such fear that she needs a companion animal to go out into the public, and she's white.
Mhm.
So here's another very interesting thing that I've recently found. I'm doing this. I'm assembling this talk on iodine, and I was looking for line drawing, some kind of image to show the thyroid. Well, I went to like 3 or 4 different websites, and 99% of the human models modeling, oh, my thyroid, were white. It's
Yeah.
like, huh.
My daughter-in-law has thyroid issue. White.
Yep. But what my point is that a lot of races have thyroid issues. It's not just a white person situation.
So why is
And
it?
yeah, why are they advertising that it's mostly white?
We are, it's always about representation, right? Like we get blamed if we don't represent all of the colors in our advertising.
Hmm.
You know, they focus on the illnesses of white people, and we have to make sure that we're inclusive in everything. Yes,
Hmm.
genocide is being committed, but they'll advertise it like it's happening to white people
Mm,
only.
yeah. Yeah. And then the next one is self-esteem. Like seriously, who can have self-esteem when you don't even have proper sleep, food, breathing?
But what is health self esteem? Here's another story. When my children were
Mm,
short, We went to a McDonald's play place, and they were like 4 or 5, my children. And this one little gem decided that crawling up the ladder or crawling up the slide, pushing everybody else out of the way, was his means of joy. And I watched this for a little bit. And then I quietly went over to Junior and said, hey, there's a ladder here on the other side. And if you go around there, then everybody else can come and have a turn. Well, his mother promptly stomped over and says, you can't say that to my child. You'll hurt his self-esteem. We left. Yeah, this is close to 30 years ago. So this has been a long-term buildup.
Because it's morals as well. Self-esteem is confidence in one's own worth, abilities, or morals. Right? And then you go to morals.
They take the moral high ground.
Like you want to push him down the stairs. Like the set of principles and values that guide an individual or a society to distinguish between right and wrong behavior. This is the problem. They're meaning manners, character, or proper behavior. This is the thing, is like the proper behavior and common sense nowadays. The line has been skewed so much that we think boys are girls and girls are boys. And that pushing someone down the stairs is okay.
Has that happened recently?
Pushing somebody down the stairs?
That you know of? Yeah.
Well, right now, my friend Kim is dealing with ex-husband, well, not really ex yet, husband, who at any point can come to her house, even though she has a, what do you call it? He can't
like
come
a restraining
near
order?
Restraining
order. Yeah.
Right. Even though she has a restraining order, and there's so many charges against him from her, from other people, from a daycare, like there is so many that he's still out in the world and he can come to her house anytime and kill her. And that's okay. Like, I mean, but yet someone, who says, you're not they, them, can go to jail. Just like that. Where's the morality in any of that?
So let's pull this back just a little bit. When our physiology does not function adequately, well, optimally would be better. If it's not functioning, if it's poisoned and functioning suboptimally, they can't think, they can't reason, because the system cannot work.
Yeah. I watched The Beekeeper last night. It's a movie. And it said that there's this society that of bees. So bees have a hierarchy, right? And if the bee, the queen bee, is not giving birth to good offspring, the beekeeper, the one of the bees in the hive goes and kills the queen.
Yeah, they'll just take her out. Yeah.
Take her out because she's not producing good offspring anymore. I think that's our problem. We haven't got good offspring in a long time.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And I don't know. It's like I've been watching some older white men tell jokes. But one of them, he said, "Who used to wear helmets here riding a bike?" And not many people held up their hand, right? Older people held up their hand. There was all young people held up the hand. He says, that's how we used to call the stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we used to
Survival of the fittest.
survival.
That's how you
of the
learn
fittest.
proprioception. Oh
And-
shit!
And now,
Prevent the head.
and now it's like, you know, we need to let kids go climb trees, fall down and crack their heads open because they're stupid, or, you know,
Break a bone.
break a bone or whatever. We used to go out and do all of that stuff. And if you didn't come home, they would be, you know, sad. But life went on.
Well, depending
know,
on how late it got, like how far down the
Yeah.
sun was. Like if it was starting to get dark, okay, then somebody was going to come hunting for me. But other
Yeah.
than that,
No,
go play the
Yep.
freeway.
exactly. Go climb a tree.
The in where I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, well, in 2017, I remember saying, you know, presenting to people about gold, saying, you know, before oil, I want you to just imagine that it's before oil and you have to push a 4,500 kilogram machine with wheels. It's got wheels, but you got to push that at 100 kilometers an hour. Just think that that's what you have to do, right? Before oil. The oil came, and then we had the capacity to do that for 100 kilometers for about $20. Right? So now what's occurred is that people have become so addicted to the comforts of oil that when that becomes a crisis, you can bet you that's going to be another depopulation event.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Especially
And
here.
we have to be and we have to remember that like we talked about how brutal nature is. We have to remember that nature's laws are not wrong. That is not unjust. Nope, it's the laws of nature. They don't have the capacity to survive without the comforts that they think they are now entitled to from you.
Mm-hmm. And we ruined the world.
Yes.
We ruined it. Like, not these kids who, you know, they like the garbage. Like right now, the garbage all over the place right now is wow. There was never ever garbage in my generation. Never.
Not just laying around, no.
Just well, again, let's look at uh, the immigrants.
Mhm.
Everywhere that the immigrants come, it's dirtier. They
Yep.
don't care.
No.
When I was living in that apartment building in Edmonton, there was a family from the Fiji, East Indian Fijians, and they were the dirtiest people I have ever known.
Mhm.
And I would regularly check myself: am I pissed off at them because they're East Indian, or am I pissed off at them because they're dirty? No, because they're dirty.
Dirty. Mhm.
They would take big garbage bags, big black garbage bags, out to the garbage like once every couple of months or so, and fill the very big cans. And at least 2 tenants across the hall moved because they couldn't tolerate the stink anymore, and the landlord wouldn't do anything about it because the property manager was a pasty white guy, and he was afraid of getting called racist.
Mhm.
Oh no, this is a health problem. Oh
Yep.
yeah, when they moved, it was so disgusting. Cause I know, because I cleaned the unit. It was unfucking believable.
Yep. The smell of curry everywhere in apartment buildings with like
Yeah, that was another issue that I brought up with landlord and tenant, and they said, ha 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 ha. You can't tell somebody what they can't cook.
Mhm.
Oh, but this impacts upon my quiet enjoyment of my space that I'm paying for. Sucks to be you.
Well,
Move.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the whole thing, right? Is like, oh, immigration is so good. Well, it's good if they adhere to the law, like to causing no harm, loss, or damage to anybody else. So,
Yeah, but then they're white. And they got a clue. And you know, I have no problems with those groups in apartment buildings, but have them have an apartment building for East Indians, have an apartment building for the Africans, have an apartment building for the Filipinos or whatever. So I mean, have your communities. That's great.
mhm.
That's great.
Yeah. And we're not racist in this group here. We're just realists who look at all the issues that are coming up that weren't before.
These are what they call Weimar issues.
Weimar?
Weimar.
Who's Weimar?
If you Weimar is another one of those stories that gets wiped off the face of the planet in order to prevent people from ever finding out the truth.
How do you spell that?
Weimar. There is a period of time called the Weimar period, spanning between World War I and World War II. And it is a condition in which the German people lived. And it was exactly what we're going through now. There was pornography in the streets. You could just go down any street and the stores would have to have the porn magazines in the windows. Yep. And this is why it's like Weimar period. There's the saying is that Weimar issues require Weimar solutions. And what happened out of Weimar? It was so bad that the people had to resort to voting for Hitler in order to make it stop. Hitler was the only politician who was speaking to the people about the debauchery and how it had to be eradicated from their culture. He started Hitler Youth, but it was a small, like a boys program to train them how to be men, showing them bushcraft and soldiery and how, like, map and compass. You got to learn these practical civic duties. Weimar issues require Weimar solutions. That's the saying. Nobody knows what Weimar is because nobody will admit that that was why people voted for Hitler.
Because they might accidentally see the corollary in today's times.
And after Hitler died, after Hitler was killed, and the enemy won, and they replaced him, 400,000 white Germans were slaughtered in the streets.
Wow.
Nobody talks about that because nobody wants to. Nobody wants to dare be anti-Semite.
So there's a Weimar city, but then there's a Weimar Republic.
That's right. And so if you want to know the full story, it is a tearjerker. It's a TV series, and you have to take that around non-depressing things. So go and watch videos with animals and cute stories about cats and whatever else, because that's how you recover from watching it. But it's seven. It's called Europa.
Oh, okay.
The Last Battle.
What? Sorry, Europa.
Europa, The Last Battle, and the only place that you can get it reliably is BitChute.
Yeah, I've watched that one. Yeah.
Too much.
It was horrific. It was horrific. And the history books erase it because the last thing we can do is speak against the bankers, because that's what he did. That's what he did. Hitler, all the talk about he was trying to evict the Jews, he was referencing the bankers. That's what he was referencing. And the people needed it because they saw that the whole country had been wrought with the Jews, and they just couldn't take it anymore. They said, we can't live like this. This is destroying our heritage. And they voted Hitler out of a desperate matter of self-defense. And nobody wants to say that. And even Hitler said it will be decades before the people realize I was right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the people who know that he was right are dead, or they're in seniors' homes, or whatever. That's one of the reasons why my Milestones project is so important to me. Is I want these stories. I want to hear how people lived and how they came through these trials and situations, so that somebody somewhere might glean some wisdom and do something different.
Well, history repeats itself, right?
Yeah. And I liken it to the lessons that I've presented in my life. Until I learn those lessons, they keep on showing up in different ways.
Lesson repeated until lesson learned.
Amen.
I used to say that to my daughter all the time.
When did you stop?
When she uninvited me to her wedding.
Mm.
Well, actually, when COVID happened. When COVID actually started. That's when I stopped saying that. I think I need to start saying it more again.
Oldies and goodies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I have to keep saying again, bring back the saying, oh, if you want socialism and communism, go to one of those countries and stop fucking up ours.
There are countries. There are lots of countries that already have it, and they will be glad to take you in.
Yeah.
When are you moving to Cuba? Because I hear that is just the place to be, because it's communist socialism.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't have electricity.
Yeah.
They don't have
there's resorts all over 5% of the whole place.
Right? Go to
Beautiful.
Cuba. Or I listened to Professor G. He works as a high school teacher, and he teaches pointed stuff, and he comments on world events, and he's pretty accurate. And he was called out for not commenting on China, where he lives, and he says, well, first of all, I live in China, I have small children, and I wish to continue working.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very clear that the system that he lives in, he's not going to have negative comments on it. As a matter of fact, he talks very little about it. I respect that.
Yeah.
He wants to, right? But he is calling out the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, my son is a history social teacher, and so is my sister. And they were talking one night, and I'm like, but Canada's not a country, even. And I couldn't pinpoint what you say, Paul, and how it's not.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But they were like adamant that it's a country. And I'm like,
yeah,
but it was never ratified. It was never,
If it's a country, why is it on the stock market?
Yeah. Yeah. First off, that's a good one. But what I like to focus on now, bringing people to that, is talk about Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and Schedule 3.
Mm-hmm.
Schedule 1. This is of the Canadian Gazette. This is the official government newspaper. So if something is put into print, it falls under one of those 3 schedules. Schedule 1 is for things that are updates. Oh, the president or the prime minister has this schedule. Oh, we've got this important summit that's coming up. It's basically a blog. Schedule 2. Okay, Schedule 2 is where we have proposals. These are things that the government wants to pass into law, but that it requires royal assent for it to be passed into law. At which point, it gets published in Schedule 3. The Constitution Act of 1984 and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms are still in Schedule 2.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, they have no force and effect, which means, by international law, Canada is not a country. In order to have a country, you have to have a constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I can show you where the last piece of paperwork regarding the matter says, oh, I wonder if, you know what, I think I can probably bring that up. It is a piece of paperwork from the Queen that says that she will eventually sign it.
She's dead.
Yeah, but that
She didn't get there before she died, right?
No.
What is the name of that file? Oh, that's such a good one. But it's the Queen said, I will do it eventually, but it will, you know what? Here it is. Here's my autograph saying that it will come into force and effect after Section 58 and 59 are satisfied. Because in Section 58 and 59 of the Constitution, there is what is now referenced as the Quebec problem, where it says that all of the, if something is to be passed, all of the lieutenant governors, these are the ones who govern the provinces, and they report to the Governor General. The lieutenant governors, they all have to unanimously agree before something can become federal law. Well, the Quebec, they did not agree with I think it's number 13 or something like that, of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Quebec doesn't agree with it, and it has to do with 23, maybe Section 23. It has to do with the law that says that people can choose which language they want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And Quebec didn't want to have to learn English, so they didn't agree. And because they don't agree, Section 58 and 59 are not satisfied, which means the Queen's Declaration is still sitting there in limbo, waiting for Canada to come to a consensus on number 23.
Right.
That's why we don't have a country. And that's why it's still in Schedule 2. It's because it hasn't got royal assent. You gotta have that before it can be passed into law.
So we're hooped. We're hooped.
Well, not anymore, because China bought it.
Right. That's why we're on the stock exchange.
Yeah. And of course they'd buy it. They already own all of the natural resource production companies, either directly or by proxy. China owns all the companies that produce resources from our natural resources.
Mm-hmm.
So we're okay. It's fine.
So we're not going to solve all the world problems right now.
Oh.
How about we just solve our world problems?
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. Co-work coming right up. That's 55 minutes of market analysis. What do you think of that?
The market's amazing.
Yeah.
It is. Is there a different link to go into co-work?
Yes. I'll grab it for you right now.
Okay, because I'm going to start putting that in my calendar as well. And it's every Thursday, right?
Every Thursday. Yeah, I usually take about a half hour break and start between 12:30, 1 o'clock, but then I'm on till 4. And here comes the link back again. Just had to go fetch it. Dum, da, da, da. I'll just go open up the room right now and get some supper, some lunch into me, and I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.